welcome to my channel. I'm Helen of Helen Jeanne Designs and Hope-Filled Journals, and today I'm excited to be doing the first week of Junk Journal Weekly. I just created this prompt list last week, and I made a YouTube video last week on showing this journal that I'm going to be using, and I hope that you'll join in. I have a list of prompts here for March, April, May, and June, and it's just basically once a week, and there's 3 prompts for each week, and you can choose 1, 2, or 3, whatever you choose. And just use the hashtag junkjournalweekly if you post it to Instagram, or if you make a YouTube video or Facebook. That way other people can find you and see what you've made. And I also have a Facebook group that is called Junk Journal Weekly. I'll put the link below if you're interested in joining. It's just another place for people to post pictures of what they made in their journals. So this week the prompt is aquamarine, envelope, and honesty. So I've been thinking about what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to start on this first page. I think I'm going to start on this first blank page. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do for aquamarine, and what I came up with is I'm going to make an envelope. I cut this square out of just mixed media paper, so it's a little bit thicker, but it'll handle watercolor paints a little bit. So what I'm going to do is first of all, I'm going to make this into an envelope, and then I'm going to use, I've got this is as close to aquamarine as I could find, but it's just a basic pale blue. And then I've also got this iridescent ink. It's a little bit bluer than what I would call aquamarine. This actually looks more aquamarine. It's a Faber-Castell Gelatos, and it's kind of a blue-green, so I may use some of that. We'll see. But first of all, I need to make my envelope. And I have this We Are Memory Keepers envelope punch board. And I'm not sure if you've ever used one of these, but I'll demonstrate. I have actually only used this a couple times. I got it actually quite a while ago, and then it's been sitting in my drawer because I usually forget that I have it. That tends to happen sometimes. The other thing I have is a few little cards that I put some lined paper on the back of these to use for journaling cards. I wanted to use bees as a theme, honey and bees, because I'm going to be trying to learn a little bit more about them, maybe get some bees in the future. But I have these cards, so I want to make an envelope to fit these. These cards measure just under 3 to just under 4. So I think I want to go big enough to make it 3 by 4. And that, if you can see this shows card size. So I want to make sure I make it 3 by 4. That's going a little bit big. So I need my paper size to be 6 by 6. And then it shows me that the score line is 2 5/8 at 2 5/8. So I looked at this ahead of time, and I did cut my paper to 6 by 6. And so I'm all set to go for that. And so what I want to do is these measurements here, I need to go to the 2 5/8. So not sure which direction. I think I'm going to go this direction. So I'm going to just put it on the board here, and I'm going to go at the 2, this would be going this direction, the 2 5/8. So I'm going to line my paper up there. And this little envelope punch came with this little scorer. So I'm going to give it a punch. And then this right here is a score line where I need to score. So I'm going to actually go this direction since I really can't see. This is a little bit thicker paper. It's not too thick, but it is mixed media paper. So what I want to do is make this score line all the way to this, I don't know what you call this puncher, I guess. So I want to make sure I can see the score line. Okay, so I did my punch and then I scored it on the line. Now what I need to do is I want to turn this. Actually, I don't think my punch, I may not have punched hard enough. It was kind of stuck. See how it made this little point there? So I'm going to turn this, and I want it to go flush against the ruler here. I don't need to measure this, use this to measure anymore. I just do it on the first one. And now I need this little pointer to line up with my score line. And that's where I'm going to make my next punch. So don't pay attention to this measurement here. But now I'm going to make my second punch. Do a little harder this time. And now I need to do the score on this side. So I'm just going to, I'm going this direction because I can't see going that direction where the line is. So I'm going to try to make it to where I can see that. And I did my punch. And now I'm going to turn it again and do the same thing. It's going to go flush up against where the ruler is, line it up where the little pointer is right on my score line. And I got to do my next punch. And then I make the next score line. Again, I want to make sure that it's deep enough so that I can actually, because I'm going to be folding on these score lines to make my envelope. So I'm going to turn again, line it up one more time, right on the score line, and then have it flush against the edge. Make my punch, and now I just need to make my score line. That should be good. I think I've got it deep enough there. So I've got my 4 corners, I've got my score lines. Now I can actually set this aside. Got my little pieces that I punched off. Now I want this textured side to be on the outside. I'm not sure if I scored it the right direction, but because I want to add some watercolor to it. So I'm going to make my envelope by folding in the small sides. I want my envelope, which way do I want my envelope to go? I guess you could do it either way, but I want it to go, I'm actually probably going to put my cards in sideways. I'm going to use the wider end as my opening. But I do think you can go either way. I could actually do it to where I've got the small side as the opening or the large side. I'm going to make the large side my opening. So then I got to go up one more time. And then I want to make sure that I'm actually folding on the score lines. I think I am. Maybe add a little bit better crease to it. And then you would just glue that. And then this is going to be my top flap. Whoops. Actually made an extra crease there. That's okay. So there you have it. Now you have a nice little envelope. So I'll add some glue. I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to use this 3-in-1 glue just to make sure it holds a little better. Now I'm not going to glue, I don't want to glue that shut. I just want to glue the flap down. Sometimes you can glue things where you don't want it. Maybe a little touch more. Okay. So that's that. Now I've got my little envelope once it dries. And then my cards should fit inside. There we go. That should work. So now I've made my envelope, and I guess I can make a little closure for that. I'm probably going to do that later though. What I'm going to do now is I don't want this white. I want it to be somewhat aquamarine. So I'm going to use my watercolors. Start out with my watercolor here. And I'm going to just have a little fun and put a little color on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to wet this pretty good. Now this is mixed media paper, so it won't hold a lot of water, but it will hold some, better than just the regular journal paper. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to add some watercolor. Like I said, I guess I should have maybe used a little green with this to kind of give it a little bit more of an aquamarine color. I view aquamarine to me as like a real pale blue. I'm thinking of the March birthstone, which is aquamarine. So I want this to be fairly light. And then I'm going to do the same actually just on the back. I'm not even going to wait for that to dry. I'm just going to, I don't want this to take me a long time. The whole point of me doing this junk journal weekly is because sometimes it takes me a long time to decide what I'm going to do, and then by the time I get everything out, it ends up taking too much time. I want it to be manageable and doable, and that's why I wanted it to be fairly simple for people to participate. Now this is going to be pretty light. I actually really enjoy watercoloring. I don't know if I should do the inside. Maybe I'll just put a little bit on the inside since I'm doing this. Give it a little bit of color all the way around. Okay, so got a little bit of color on there. It's starting to dry a little bit. Now, since I did the back side, it's getting a few smudges on this side, but that's okay. What I really want is just kind of a pattern. So I'm also going to add I'm probably going to go ahead and add a little bit of this gelatos. But I'm going to kind of mix this a little bit. I've got a scrap here. I'm going to put a little bit on here rather than directly on the envelope. And then I'm just going to add some water to it. Kind of make it somewhat similar to watercolor. And I'm just going to add a little bit of color to it. Maybe kind of just add some speckles. Now my aquamarine is turning a little more, giving it a little bit more of a marine look. Do a little bit on the back. Not a lot, just a little bit. This is just to add a little bit of color to it. There you can see. That is a pretty color though. And then I have this Dr. P.H. Martin's iridescent calligraphy colors. It's in iridescent blue. Okay, I'm going to set this aside and let it dry a little bit. So I'll probably add a few things to decorate it up a little bit more, but I want the blue to dry, or the aquamarine, I should say. So I'm going to just kind of set that aside. Okay, so now I need to figure out what I'm going to do for my page. And I had a few ideas. I'm going to, when I created this journal, I printed up this paper, and I actually have a little bit left, just some scraps that I set aside. And I think this has pretty much an aquamarine color. So I need a place to hold my envelope. So I was thinking about making like a belly band to go along the side, and that way I can slip my envelope in. But I want to cut this down and maybe add some stitches to the side of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I cut this down a little bit and added a little bit of lace to it. So I'm going to, I don't know if I'm going to put it all the way to the edge. I think I'm going to bring it in a little bit so that I could slip my envelope to where it doesn't have, it's not enclosed on the one side. And that gives it space to slide around a little bit. So I'm going to glue this on the top and the bottom. Okay, so I glued this on. It should be nice and dry now. And I have a bunch of a few odds and ends of things that I can use to decorate. And I may decide to draw a little bit too. This might go beyond this video as far as me finishing up this page. Sometimes it's hard for me to just do it all at one time. Sometimes I like to go back and add things later on. I kind of wanted to go with the bee theme, so I've got a few bee related items here. There's a little honey pot, the bee, and just some little like specimen type of things. And I do have some more items that I can cut out if I want them. I want this to be fairly simple. So I also want to cover honesty, since that's the third one. And I looked it up, and of course I know what honesty means, and but I just thought I'd look up and see what they had in the dictionary for definition. And it talked about truthfulness, sincerity, free from deceit or fraud. But it also mentioned the honesty box, which many people used and still use to this day. Sometimes I go around, when I'm driving around, I'll see like a produce stand, and somebody will just have a little box out for you to put your money in and take whatever fruit or vegetables you buy. So I thought that was interesting, and kind of sometimes people might sell honey that way. So I thought I would just add honesty to one of my little, maybe near the honey, I might add the word honesty. And I have these little cards. I may just write it on one of these, I might put it on here. I want to keep some journaling space because I do want to use this to write down a few notes of things as I'm studying and learning a little bit about bees. So my envelope's still a little damp, but that's going to have to go in here with my cards. So I probably will leave a little bit of space open. So what I'm probably going to do is decorate up the envelope in this band here. And then I'll probably do the rest off camera just so that I can take my time and do it how I want. So I'm going to add a little bit of this Distress Oxide to the edges. And that is this. So I'm just going to kind of do that on a few of these pieces, whether I use them or not. I may use them in the future for other things. So I'm going to do that. I always like to have a little bit of music because it makes good background, and usually some book pages. I thought I had some book pages here. I have a little piece of one here. So I'm going to go through and I'm just going to play around with it a little bit, and I'll speed up the video. Okay, so I glued all of this on, and I decided to put this down here rather than on the belly band. And then I'm going to leave this open for journaling, and maybe I might do some drawing. I'm probably going to put a little border of flowers here. I'm going to do all of that off the camera. I've got my little envelope with my Aquamarine and a couple journaling cards. And what I'll do is I'll probably take some pictures after I complete it, and then hopefully add it to this video, because I am getting a little, my time's going by rather rapidly. I need to glue this on. I just saw that it came unglued. I have a little journaling space on there, so I need to re-glue that. But they do fit in the envelope, and I just put a little simple thing on here. And that's going to go in there, and it might cover this up a little bit. Sometimes they slide down, but it does leave some space for, I've got the cards in here to journal on. I've got this I can write on. So I will probably do that and take some pictures, and I'll upload it also to this video of the finished product. But I don't want this to be too difficult. I want it to be something that's doable for everyone who participates, because sometimes if you make it too complicated, it's easy to just give up and forget about it. So I do want to make it fairly simple. So this week I've got my Aquamarine, I've got my envelope, and my honesty, just very simple. And I'm going to leave these spaces open because I'm going to try to do a little bit of research on bees and do some little bit of learning. So I'll probably add some notes to that. And next week is green, clover, and wish. So we'll see what everybody comes up with that. I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody comes up with for this week's prompts. Don't forget to use the hashtag junkjournalweekly, and love to see what you come up with. Until next time, happy journaling and happy crafting. Talk to you later.